Bienvenido a otro video del Colegio Boston. No olvides suscribirte, activar la campanita, darle like y compartir.
Hello, good morning, students. My name is Victor Manuel. I'm going to teach you today about the second conditional. Second conditional is very important, and we need to know all the parts and different structures that are involved in the second conditional sentences. Now, to begin with, we're going to go with the definition. Definition is, what is the second conditional? Now, to talk about this, we need to say, the second conditional is a structure used to talk about impossible or imaginary situations. So let's think about this. Impossible or imaginary situations are situations in which at this moment, in the current time, it is not possible to have that. For example, let's say that in these moments, it is not possible to go to the beach, to go to the park, to go to the plazas, because we have the contingency. We have COVID-19 contingency. Therefore, in this moment, it is not possible to go to these places. So maybe if you want to go in this moment, it's only imaginary. It's only in your imagination because it is not possible. Now, to start with, we're going to begin with some examples we have in here. If I won a lot of money, I would travel around the world. It means in this moment that you don't have the money, but if you had the money, if you won the money, maybe by lottery, you would travel around the world, which is something that in this moment is not possible. That's why it's only imaginary situation. It is something that is impossible in this moment. Probably in the future can be possible, but in this moment, it's not. Now, the next one is, where would you live if you could live anywhere in the world? This is a question about something that is impossible, repeating, in this moment. Maybe in the future, when you have your own money or when you make more money, you can go to places like Paris, France, Italy, I don't know, like Canada. But in this moment, it is not possible to go to those places. That is why we're making a question about something that is impossible or imaginary in this situation, in this present time. Now, it says the next one, if he didn't argue with everyone all the time, he would have a more relaxed life. That means that this person probably is problematic. Probably this person doesn't like to be told what to do, and this person is always having an argument. It's always having a discussion with other people. And that means that this person is stressed, like, is angry all the time. But if he didn't argue with everyone all the time, he would have a more relaxed life. So what is the cause? The cause is that he has arguments with everyone. And what is the effect? The effect is that in this case, because he argues with everyone, he doesn't have a relaxed life, okay? Now, continuing with this, we have to break the structure. In breaking the structure, it means that we have to know all the different parts that are the components of the second conditional. So we have the formula. The formula, we have two parts. We have the if clause or cause clause. This is the cause of what happens in here. And we have the result clause or the effect clause. So let's check this part. We have if clause and we have result clause. We have cause clause and effect clause. The cause and the effect of something. Something needs to happen in order for something else to occur. Now, we have on the if clause, we have if plus subject plus the verb in simple past plus the complement. This is on the first part of your sentence. And then on the second part of your sentence, you need a subject, modal verb would, verb in the simple present, and the complement. This is very important for you. We need to have two different parts, and the first part goes with the if, and the second part goes with the result. Now, continuing with this, we have to know, it mentions that we need to have clauses, but what is a clause? A clause is a sentence? A clause is a phrase? Let's try to think and let's analyze what is a clause. A clause happens when you have 2, 3, or more sentences in only one sentence, and they are connected, they are joined to make one sole idea. Okay, so let's think about this. We have 2 sentences or 3 or 4 sentences. It's only one sentence. So we have only one idea, but that is made of 2 or 3 or more sentences. Now, let's check. However, to talk about clauses, first we need to make a definition of what a clause is. What do you think is a clause? Maybe. Okay, so let's check. It says, let's see some examples and try to define which is a sentence and which is not a sentence. Okay, this is very important. For you to define what is a clause, first we need to break the clause into sentences, and we need to check what is a sentence, what is the composition of a sentence, what makes a sentence being a sentence. So let's check at some examples, and you need to try to see and you need to try to tell me if these sets of words are sentences or not sentences. We have, first of all, happy birthday, yay! Happy birthday is a sentence? Let's check. Open the door. Open the door is an order, it's a command, it's something that I tell you to do. Is that a sentence? Carol goes to the market. Well, in this case, we have like Carol, which is the subject, we have goes, which is the verb, and we have to the market, which is a complement. This one, I think that it looks more like a sentence, because in this case, we have the subject, we have the verb, and we have the complement. Normally, if you remember, we always check that a sentence needs to have a subject, a verb, and a complement to be a complete sentence. So that means that happy birthday and open the door are not sentences? What do you think? Let's check another example. It says, Merry Christmas, yay! It's the 24th of December. We say Merry Christmas to our family, to our friends, and we have celebration with turkey, we have celebration with pie, we have celebration with salad. But hey, wait, we were talking about sentences. Merry Christmas is a sentence? You think so? Let's check another example. You sleep. You sleep is only like the subject and the verb. A subject and a verb can be a sentence. If you say yes, if you say no, we're going to find out in just a second. Let's see. Sit. Sit is a really bad command. Normally it's used within a class, okay? When you are standing up, maybe I tell you sit, but sit is an order, therefore it's a sentence. Okay, now that you think about whether these ones are yes or no sentences, I'm going to give you the answers. So let's review again. We say that happy birthday was a sentence, yes or no? No, it was not a sentence. Happy birthday, it is not a sentence. Why? Well, we're going to check in a minute. Open the door. Yay! Open the door, it is a sentence. Yeah, you're correct. In this case, we have a sentence. Are you correct? Are you sure? Let's check why. Later on. Carol goes to the market. We were saying that Carol has a subject, goes is a verb, to the market is the complement. Yay! It is a sentence. It is a sentence. Now, Merry Christmas. What do you think? No, it is not a sentence. Merry Christmas is not a sentence. I'm sorry to tell you this, but no, it is not a sentence. Now, you sleep. Maybe at night you sleep. So, yes, you sleep is an order, but still it's a sentence. So in this case, you see, we only have you, that is the subject, and we have sleep, which is the verb. So when you have a subject and a verb, it's a sentence. That makes me think some ideas. And the last one, sit. It's only the verb, it's only the action. Can that be a sentence? Well, let me tell you, yes, it is a sentence. And why? we're going to check the rhythm. Don't worry, we're going to see in a minute. So we have, what makes a sentence a sentence? I mean, what type of parts make a sentence being a sentence? So a sentence is usually formed like this. Like I was telling you, we have a subject, we have a verb, and we have a complement. But we check some examples. We have the subject in a verb can also be a sentence. As long as you have a subject in a verb, the verb is very important, you have a sentence. Do you think that that is the only possibility? No, right? Because we also check sit. And if you remember sit, it was only the verb. So can the verb also be a sentence? We have subject plus verb plus complement is a sentence. But subject and verb is also a sentence. And the verb only like sit is a sentence. All these examples refer to a sentence. This means that the minimum part of a sentence must be a verb. This is very important. The sentences, minimum, they need to have a verb. Very good. Now, therefore, if you only have a verb or a subject and a verb or a subject, verb, and complement, you can say that these are sentences. They are sentences. Remember, subject, verb, complement is a sentence. Subject and verb is a sentence. Verb is a sentence. And what happens when you only have like the subject or the complement? How do you call those? Let's see this one. So let's analyze the next set of words one more time to check if they were sentences or if they were not sentences. Happy birthday, open the door, Carol goes to the market, Merry Christmas, you sleep, sit. So now we see happy birthday, it doesn't have a verb. If you check, we have happy birthday. Happy birthday is only like a compliment. So is it a sentence? No, it's not a sentence. Open the door. Open the door, there is no subject, but we have open, that is the verb, and we have the door, that is the complement. Can we have a sentence? Yeah, we can have a sentence. Yes. Carol goes to the market. Obviously, yes. Why? Because we have a subject, we have a verb, and we have a complement. No problem on that. Now, you sleep, we say, no, it is not. I'm sorry, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, no, because in Merry Christmas, we don't have a verb. Merry Christmas is only the complement. Therefore, it is not possible to say that this is a sentence. Now, you sleep, we have a subject and we have a verb. Yes, it is a sentence. And finally, we have sit. Yeah, I know it sounds bad, it sounds rude, but it is still a sentence. So yes, it is a sentence. Now, I said that we were going to analyze the clauses, right? And we have analyzed the sentences, but we have not analyzed the clause. Oh, yes, I remember. Well, we are getting there, but before that, I need to make sure that you understand the difference between a phrase, a sentence, and a clause. Okay, we need to make completely sure that we understand that part. Now, we already checked how a sentence can be formed. Now let's see the other part, a phrase. In simple terms, the phrases are a set of words that have a meaning and a use, but that lack a verb. In other words, phrases don't have an action. They only express something. Probably they can have a subject, probably they can have a complement, but definitely they do not have a verb. So when you say Merry Christmas, or when you say Happy Birthday, even you can say like Merry Christmas, Joseph. Joseph is the subject. Merry Christmas is like the complement, but we don't have a verb. It's not a sentence. When you say Happy Birthday, Rose. Happy birthday is the complement. Rose is the subject, but we don't have a verb. Therefore, we don't have a we don't have a sentence. Okay. Now that we know what a phrase is, that the phrase doesn't have a verb and that sentences do have minimum a verb, we can start to be clear about what a clause is. Let's check. If Anna had money to make a party, she would sing happy birthday. We have that if, it's marked in here. Anna is the subject. The verb in the past is had. Money to make a party is the complement. Very important, we have a comma. The comma, let me tell you that it is super important. When you start a sentence with if, you need to have the comma. So it is marked in there. The subject, we have she. Then we have a modal verb that in this case is would. We have a verb in the simple form, which is sing. And we have the complement, which is happy birthday. So if you check all of this sentence, this is a second conditional sentence. We have that if Anna had the money to make a party, that is the cause. She would sing happy birthday, that is the result. So we're talking about something that needs to happen in order for something else to occur. We're talking about a cause and an effect, the if clause and the result clause. Now, let's see the same sentence, but starting with the result clause. Anna would sing happy birthday if she had money to make a party. So let's try to say, when we're talking about a clause, we need to say that clauses happens when you have two or more sentences. When you say, Anna would sing happy birthday, this is one sentence. We have Anna and we have the verb sing. The other are different elements of the sentence, but there we have a sentence. Then we have if she, that is the subject, had money to make a party. Had is the verb. In there you have the second sentence. So when you have a sentence in the beginning and another sentence in the end, you have two sentences and therefore they are called clauses. We have the if clause and we have the result clause. In this specific moment, we're talking about first about the result. What is the result that happened because something else occurred? So we can say, Anna would sing happy birthday if she had money to make a party. Anna is the subject, would is the modal verb, sing is the verb in simple form, happy birthday, very good, is the complement. We have the if. In this case, if you notice, please pay attention to this, we don't have a comma, and this is very important. When you have first the result, it is not necessary to have the comma. Only when you start with if, talking about affirmative or negative sentences. So, Anna would sing happy birthday if she is the subject, had is the verb in the past, money to make a party is the complement. Also remember, the period is very important, the final period, to make a sentence correctly. Now, when you start with the result clause, the comma is not used. Like I was telling you, very important, if you check, there is no comma in that part. And that is very important to check. Only when you start with the if in affirmative, you use the comma. If you start with the result, the comma is not used. It's not necessary. Now, let's see a negative sentence using second conditional. We have, if I were you, I wouldn't watch the new movie. If I were you, I wouldn't watch the new movie. If you check, we have the comma after you. It's very important because we're starting with if. So, if the subject is I, where is the verb in the past, you is the complement. Then we have the comma, which is super important. Subject, would, which is the modal verb in negative. In this case, it's wouldn't. Watch, which is the verb in the simple form. And the new movie is the complement. Okay? So what makes the difference between this and affirmative? Well, it only makes the difference that in affirmative we say would, and in negative we say wouldn't. Very good. That's the only difference. The N apostrophe T, or you can also separate it as I would not. That is also correct. If you say wouldn't or if you say would not, it works perfectly. No problem. Now, to finish up, we're going to check how to make a question. This is also very important. We have already checked how to say affirmative, how to say negative. Now we're going to finish on how to say a question, okay? So, what would you do if you won the lottery? In this case, we're starting with a question. And the question is like the result, and then we have the if clause. And it is also very important to check this part. I told you that when you start with if, you have a comma in the middle. If you start with the result, you don't have a comma. But that only occurs when you are talking about affirmative or negative. But when you're talking about a question, it changed. There is a variation, there is an exception. And the exception is that when you have a question, you can start with the result. What would you do, comma, if you won the lottery? So let's check the parts, the different parts. We have what, which is the double H question. We have would, which is the modal verb would. We have the subject. We have the verb. The verb is in simple past? No, right? The verb is in simple form, simple present. Then we have the comma, which is super important. We have the if. We have the subject. We have the verb in the past. And finally, we have the complement. That is all, right? Nope. No, it's not all. Something that is also very important that we need to mention is that in a question, we need to have a question mark. And it is very important because in Spanish, we have the question mark in the beginning and we have the question mark in the end. But in the English, we only have it at the end. So I hope that with this video, I have cleared out all your doubts that you have about the second conditional. Thank you very much for paying attention to this class. It was a pleasure for me to have you today. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.